here at the Press Enterprise. We want to thank everyone for participating in this inaugural election road trip. We are doing 25 forums around western Riverside County this week. This particular forum is on the Corona-Norco Unified School District. We'd like to thank our sponsors for this initial road trip, the Press Enterprise, the Beaumont Cherry Valley Recreation and Park District, and Mount San Jacinto College. All of these forums are being streamed live on pe.com and ustream.tv. These also are available on pe.com on the road trip page, which is on the politics area of the website. As I mentioned, this forum today is on the Board of Trustees for the Corona-Norco Unified School District. The district has been one of the fastest growing in the state. It has distinguished itself with top-notch academics, athletics, and co-curricular activities. The school district has become the largest in Riverside County with more than 53,000 students and more than 4,000 employees. There are 2 seats available for the Board of Trustees and 6 candidates. We're going to take a moment to meet the candidates, and then we'll go and give each a 2-minute opening statement. The candidates are seated to my right in the order on which they appear on the ballot. First is Stephen Green, a teacher. John Zicafus, also known as Mr. Z, a library and literacy coordinator. Bill Newberry, a school foundation president. Gretchen Dowdy, a parent. And Doug Hewson, a pastor and business consultant. Candidate Greg Diedrich, a retired deputy sheriff, RSVP'd and is not able to attend. All right, the 2 incumbents are not running in this election, so we have 5 candidates here for this forum. To get started, we'll begin with a 2-minute opening statement. And as I mentioned, we're going in the order in which the names appear on the ballot. So Stephen Green, we'll begin with you.
Hello. Again, my name is Stephen Green. My wife and I moved to Corona in 2003. We have 2 young children, 8 and 4. I'm not a politician. I'm an educator. I'm a public school teacher in a neighboring district. I've been teaching for 6 years. I've also coached varsity baseball and boys and girls varsity golf. I'm a former LA County deputy sheriff. I'm a firm believer in public service, and I'm very concerned with the direction education is heading into, and that's why I'm running for school board.
Okay, John Zicafus.
Well, good morning, everybody, and I'd like to start off by thanking the Press Enterprise for holding this forum. It's very important. The more people we can reach, the more they know about us as candidates. I come to this race with really probably a different perspective than, no offense to any of my other candidates, but with a different perspective, and that is because of a very personal reason. I learned to read and write as an adult. I'll give you an example. I was functionally illiterate to the point when I was 35 years old. My 2 boys were 4 and 7 years old, and my 7-year-old could actually read better than I could. When I'd sit like any good father and read to my boys, he would actually fix the words that I got wrong. Well, that and a back injury forced me kind of into a corner, so I enrolled in the adult literacy program at the Corona Public Library, and that's where I learned how to read. Now, I've taken these skills and put them to good use as a community leader, one of which would be Unity, which stands for United Neighbors Involving Today's Youth. And Unity has actually helped raise $17 million for the Corona-Norco district. So I'm not a Johnny-come-lately to this. I've been involved with the district for the last 15 years, and leadership is something that I truly believe in and can do and bring to the district. Thank you.
Okay, Bill Newberry.
Thank you again. Welcome, and it is definitely a pleasure and an honor to be able to speak to everyone today. Again, my name is Bill Newberry, and I have 3 kids that attended the Corona-Norco Unified School District. two of which just graduated here recently. Live in the district for the past 11 years, and I bring to the table really a lot of volunteer experience as a community member, being involved in various district activities and functions as the president of the foundation for the school district. And I really feel that in these tough times, it's going to take a strong leader, a strong manager, and someone that's putting the kids first. I strongly believe that our kids are our future, and we need to have a positive impact on that. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we'll hear from Gretchen Dowdy.
Good afternoon. I'm Gretchen Dowdy, and I have lived in Corona for 20 years. I have had, my two daughters have both gone through the Corona-Norco School District. I am currently the PTA president for all of the Corona-Norco schools, the PTA council president, and being a volunteer, as I have been for 17 years within the school district, within the PTA, I feel I bring a lot of understanding. I work diligently with the principals now and also the school district staff, cabinet, and all the employees at the school district. I'm also the chairman of the Measure U committee, which was the one that brought the monies to rebuild some of the schools that have been small and or needed brought up. So anyway, I feel that I have the leadership, I have the parent support, I have the understanding of what the school district needs. Thank you very much.
Okay, Doug Hewson.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome, and thank you, Nels, for the opportunity. My name is Doug Hewson, and I'm homegrown in Corona-Norco. This is my home, and this is where I grew up. I had the opportunity of graduating from Norco High School, and I thank God for the education I received through the Corona-Norco Unified School District. Like the others, this is not politics, it's public service, and we all agree on that. And what an opportunity I would see it as a representative of every parent and teacher, bringing 25 years of pastoral and business experience to the leadership team that's already in the district. It'd be my great joy to serve on your behalf. A little bit about me. I mentioned Corona is my home. I'm married to my wife, Maureen, of 23 years. We have 4 children, and I have a vested interest in the education that happens in our district. I have a student that will graduate from Santiago High School this year. I also have another student, my daughter, who's independent study. A third child of mine is actually at a private school here in Corona. And we understand all of the options in education, and that's one of my hopes, to increase the options for parents. And lastly, I'm so thankful. I have one child out of the house, and he's at RCC already. Well, all of that to say, 2 issues really facing our district I see as paramount. One is budgets. We got to manage our budgets. It's going to be lean and mean years in the coming future, and I think I'm prepared to help do that. And the second is preparing our students for the global workplace. I want to see every student graduate with the opportunity to continue on to higher education or enter the workforce prepared for their vocation. I'm Doug Hewson. I appreciate your vote.
All right, we thank you for those opening statements. Now we're going to move on to the question and answer portion of this forum. We have a series of questions provided from the newsroom staff of the Press Enterprise and also from readers. You'll have 1 minute to respond to each question, and again, Carol, our timekeeper, will notify you when you've reached the halfway point and when your time is up. We've set up the order of questions, responses rather, so that no one will be answering questions first on a consistent basis or last on a consensus basis. Okay, the first question, we're going to go to Stephen Green first. What will be your top priority if elected to the school board?
My top priority will be a change in school culture. Along with that would be parental involvement in their child's education. I'm seeing a decline in that as a professional. I think that has a tremendous impact on student achievement or lack thereof. I also want to make a priority student discipline and accountability. And I'm also very concerned about the direction education is going as far as teachers are concerned, as the budget cuts, the attack on tenure, and merit pay. I'm concerned about that, and I have not seen anything that's equitable to replace what we have already.
Okay, Doug Husen, you're next. What will be your top priority if elected to the school board?
Well, I think I mentioned those. One is the balanced budgets with lean years coming. Really negotiating with our two unions is going to be paramount, and I think I'll bring in independence and a support to the already great leadership team from the superintendent and assistant superintendents. But the second, again, is that preparation for a global workplace. And this is one of my passions. I want to see every student conversant and fluent in a second language. Why? I really believe Southern California in particular needs to produce students who are going to enter the workplace ready to ship products overseas and to communicate with people all around the globe.
Okay, Gretchen Dowdy.
One of my biggest concerns is closing the achievement gap, making sure that no kids are left behind or falling between the gaps, because not all students are college bound. We need to have the programs out there for each student to be able to either go into some type of technology, whether it be computers or even some kind of trade like auto mechanic shop or woodworking. So that's one of my main goals.
Okay, Bill Newberry, what will be your top priority if elected to the school board?
My top priority would be to ensure that our district thrives and becomes a model district, not just in the Inland Empire, but within the state. And I think one of the things we need to do to ensure that is that every student is either career or college ready. Thank you.
Okay, John Zickafoos.
First and foremost, actually I have several priorities I'd like to see the district look at, but safety. We have to keep our campuses safety, and this isn't something that everybody thinks about until something like Columbine happens, and then everybody rushes to figure out what we can do to keep safe, our children safe, and our children need to be safe on our campuses. Through Unity, back in '95, we were able to write grants for resource officers on the middle schools, and unfortunately with the cuts, those have been taken away. I would like to re-implement that and keep our children safe at all times, and that also relates to discipline and the way kids act on our campuses. It can't be tolerated acting out. You have to act in a professional manner on our campuses at all times.
Okay, the next question we will ask Mr. Zickafoos first. Standardized testing is the chosen method of judging student achievement in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. As a policy-making board, how should the district measure student achievement?
Well, unfortunately, testing has taken a lot of the teacher out of the teacher. I truly believe we are testing our children to death. And it's taken a lot of the greatness out of our teachers because they aren't able to teach in the manner in which they have been taught to teach. They're having to teach to that test. So I think we really need to look at that. Unfortunately, that's mandated testing, but within the district, we have some measurement testing that we do that I'd like to take a seriously look at and see if we can at least minimize some of that, take some of that away, because I believe we're just putting too much pressure on our kids, our teachers, and then our parents. So we really need to look at the amount of testing that's happening to our kids. Thank you.
Okay, Bill Newberry, same question. How should the district measure student achievement?
I totally agree with Mr. Z. I think that unfortunately there are so many tests put on our students by the state that it is forcing us to teach to the test. I think that's a very unfortunate situation. I do agree that we need to reevaluate the process. I think it's an important process to look at how our testing is done that we do from a district level and continue to ensure that our students are getting the best education possible and not teaching necessarily to a test.
Okay, Doug Hewson, same question. How should the district measure student achievement?
Testing. It's that simple. I'm not endorsed by the teachers union, and it might show. We must test, and test scores continue to fall across the United States and even in California, and standardized testing is the way to measure it. Certainly that's not going to hamper the way a teacher inspires or teaches, but it's the only objective evaluation.
Okay, Gretchen Dowdy, how should the district measure student achievement?
My feeling is I agree with Bill and John. I think the kids do get over-tested. I do understand testing is necessary to make sure that the kids are learning what they need to learn. But again, we need to reevaluate. It seems like the kids are taking some kind of test for scorings once a month, twice a month, and I just feel it's way too much. But I do agree that some type of testing is necessary. Thank you.
Okay, Stephen Green, how should the district measure student achievement?
Well, we do have to measure it by testing. The problem with the current testing that we have in place is there's no student incentive. You take the Casey exam, there's an incentive there because they have to pass it in order to graduate. The standardized tests, they don't. So they don't prepare, and it's hard for them to be motivated to achieve on that. Now, if we did like some districts do, I've heard of this, where they can put their test scores on their transcripts, then they're going to have some motivation to excel. And so there's options we have not explored, and I think we need to further explore what options are to hold the kids accountable to the testing that we have in place, and not just put it solely on the responsibility of the schools and the teachers.
Okay, we'll begin the next question with Gretchen Dowdy. While the school district reports a solid financial footing, the economy has proven to be very challenging. If cuts are necessary, where would you look first in terms of trimming budgets?
That's a really difficult one because so much of the budget has already been cut. I am proud of the school district so far as not taking away from the students and from the classrooms. The school district right now is ranked second as far as their dollars to student in the classroom. But I think we still need to, if we need to cut, we need to look possibly other areas of, I don't want to take away from the kids. I'm not really sure what other areas, because so much already having $90 million cut out of the budget. I don't know where else it could be taken.
Okay, John Zickafoos, if it's necessary to trim the budget for a balanced budget, where would you look for cuts?
Well, we have, as Gretchen pointed out, in the last 3 years, cut $90 million from the budget. So there isn't a lot of wiggle room. We're into the bone right now as it is. So I would say that the district with the union has done a great job, because we were at a point of sheer disaster, of pink slipping over 300 teachers. Had the unions not worked together with the district and the board and figured out, okay, we'll take this 5% cut, our classrooms would have been a disaster. Class sizes would have gone up. Teachers that remained would have been more stressed. Kids would have been more stressed, thus parents more stressed. It absolutely has a trickle-down effect. So I would say we cannot touch our teachers. There's some areas possibly in busing that we could look at, which has already been trimmed, possibly some of our extracurricular activities. But even those I don't want to get into. Thank you.
Okay, Bill Newberry, if it's necessary to trim the budget, where would you look?
I think the first thing in budgets is so critical, and as all of them have said, we've trimmed over $90 million. I was part of the budget committee that evaluated the last cuts, and I'm proud to say that there were no layoffs from the teachers. We did not affect any teacher in the school district, and that's very difficult to do with that amount of cut. But I think when we look at it, the answer is a collaborative approach, as we did the last time. If there needs to be a budget cut, we need to collaboratively work together with the staff of the district and all of the labor unions and come together and be able to come with a resolution that everyone can work with. Again, not affecting the classrooms. Thank you.
Okay, Doug Hewson.
The reality is the classrooms are already affected, and Sacramento's given us the green light to make class sizes larger temporarily. And so we haven't solved that problem that's created by our current budget. Here is the budget, right there. There's no magic. You don't wave a wand over it and fix it. More than 80% is spent on salaries and benefits. Productivity is the answer, and everybody realizes that. How do we achieve productivity? Well, outside the classroom in the administrative areas, we must increase the effectiveness of every employee. And then within the classroom, the reality is some teachers are going to have larger classes, and that's okay. It really is. Here's how I feel about teacher salaries. I want Corona-Norco Unified School District to pay higher than the nearby school districts. Why? While it's unwise to pay too much, it's worse to pay too little. We don't want overhead, and we want to secure those people long term. And so that's my goal on budgets.
Okay, Stephen Green.
Well, I believe it's red tape. As a teacher, I have experience in this. I am constantly being asked to go through program training that I achieved in college to get my degree, and then I'm asked to, and I did that to get my credential, and then we're asked to do it year after year after year. It's a waste of resources when we should be allocating those resources back into the classroom, not training us on something we've already achieved, and we have certificates to show that. It will not be cutting from the classrooms, and it will not be cutting teacher salary. That I can promise you.
Okay, the next question we'll direct first to Bill Newberry. On the flip side of that question, what is so essential to the students in the Corona-Norco district that it should be exempt from any budget cuts?
I think the exemption process in this day and age doesn't exist. I don't think that there's anything that we can safely say that could not be on the table. Anything and everything, with the amount of cuts we've already taken, as Mr. Zigafus has said, we're already down to the bone, and we are. I can't imagine that there's anything that is safe at this point. I will say that the teachers are the ones preparing our kids to be our future, and I think our teachers would probably be the last on my list to be cut.
Okay, Stephen Green, same question. What's so important to the students that it should be exempt from budget cuts?
Well, the GATE programs, the AP classes, I think those should be left alone. I'm seeing that in areas where I work. They are taking those away, and it's hurting their chances in college. I think we need to leave the arts alone. I think we need to leave music alone, and athletics as well, because those are incentives for. Those are things students enjoy when they're at school, and we're starting to get where it's a drag to go to school for some kids. I hear that from them all the time. They don't have good elective choices anymore, so I think we need to leave those things alone.
Okay, Doug Hewson, same question.
Certainly, students learn because teachers teach, and so they are the number one priority. They're also the number one expense, but I don't see it that way. They're our greatest asset. But there are opportunities with online learning, independent study, and other ways to leverage the value of a teacher across more than maybe 100 students, where maybe now they can serve 150 students. And so teachers are paramount. We're going to keep them. They're always going to be part of the education process.
Okay, Gretchen Dowdy, what is so important to the success of the students that it should be exempt from budget cuts?
Well, I agree with everyone else. The main is our teachers. We have to make sure that we have the teaching staff, the qualified teachers for our students. So again, we don't lose our students in the achievement gap, that they have the possibility to continue and either be college bound and or into a technical field. So I say teachers 100% are the most important assets.
Okay, and finally, John Zickafoos.
I would concur with everybody, teachers obviously being first and foremost, but I would take an absolute different approach. We all get a paycheck, and out of our paycheck, the feds take money, and there are a lot of dollars out there, federal grant dollars that we can access, that we need to get. Steve talked about the arts, and that's something I think we all believe in, that we want to keep on our school campuses, but they're one of the first things that are cut. So there are monies out there in federal grants that we need to start accessing, and I know it can happen because I've done it through Unity. As I alluded to earlier, we brought in $17 million into the district. We need to ramp that back up, get those dollars, keep them here. They are our dollars. We need to bring them home. Thank you.
Okay, Doug Hewson will get this next question first. Public service can be very time-consuming. How do you expect to manage work, family, and other commitments along with new duties on the school board?
I'm a little bit unique. My boss prayed with me about it 1 year ago, and he agreed to reduce my workload so I could serve publicly. There we have it.
Gretchen?
I enjoy volunteering. In fact, my husband has said, "Why don't you go to work?" I said, "Fine." He says, "Don't do that. You'll put us in a higher tax bracket." I said, "I'm going to continue to volunteer." I love the Corona-Norco School District. My children are both in college. I have all the time in the world. I love kids, the teachers, the students, the principals, the school district in a whole. So I just feel I have all the time in the world to give back to Corona-Norco.
Stephen Green, how do you expect to manage work, family, and other commitments?
Well, my wife is very supportive in all I do, and my family comes first. You know, it's about priorities. When I was a deputy sheriff, I was often asked or forced to work double shifts, and you just do what you're passionate about, and you do what you need to do to make a difference.
John Zickafoos?
Well, I have several hobbies. One is camping with family and friends from church. The other is my gardening, and the other is my involvement in community. So I don't see it as a burden at all. I see it as a blessing. In my 15 years of volunteering with the district, my kids have been there by my side the whole time. And they've enjoyed it, and they understand that giving back is part and parcel of what we do as good human beings. So, like I said, I see it as a blessing to be able to serve. So, thank you.
Okay, and finally, Bill Newberry.
A couple of things. One, I feel that time management is a key issue, and I feel that I have a great time management skill. It's been demonstrated over the course of the past few years doing the various volunteer work that I already am involved in and have been involved in. I think the other issue, too, is having support of family and friends. And lastly, I think as I think everybody's alluded to, we want to give back. And we want to be able to provide a service, and we're all willing to do that. Thank you.
Okay, Gretchen will get this question first. Some government bodies elect members on an at-large basis and some on specific geographical wards. What is your opinion on the best form of representation for this school district?
My opinion as far as the best representation are the individuals that want to be a part of the school board, that are out there, that are volunteering, that are a part of the community, that are going to be an asset. I know there's smaller communities within our Corona-Norco School District. There's all the opportunity in the world for any of them to have the same opportunity to be a part of the school board, to be a part of this election.
Okay, Stephen Green, What is your opinion on what would be the best format among at-large or specific wards for representing the school district?
I think the best format is, a caring body of people with high integrity, great character, great morals, and last but not least, it's all about the students, and they are our future, and that's where we need to invest all of our time and effort.
Okay, John Zickafoos?
I would say the current system we have works well. And I know myself, I don't stay to any specific community. I have the opportunity to go out to all the schools and do it on a very regular basis. I do assemblies for all the elementaries, Eastvale, Corona-Norco, El Cerrito, all the areas, I cover them, and I'm there on a regular basis. For the junior high and the high schools, I go out there and I do motivational speaking as to my personal story. So, and I don't think anybody on the board feels like that, or anyone seated up here feels like it has to be just for a certain community. I think we all are going at it for the right reasons, and that right reasons are our kids. Thank you.
Okay, Bill Newberry?
It is. It's all about the kids, and it doesn't matter what area they're in. If elected to the board, they're to serve, and they're to serve all the children, all the kids of the district, not a particular area. And I think it's critical that we, as elected officials, understand that we're there to serve the kids, and it doesn't matter which area they're from.
Okay, Doug Hewson?
Ditto, 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 ditto. Current system works fine. I've lived in Corona-Norco for 40 plus years and had over 5 different houses that I've lived in, and so been in all of those, and I feel the same about each of the neighbors that I live near. Care about their kids, care about the parents.
Okay, Stephen Green will get the next question first. How can the district close the achievement gaps between, for example, middle class white students, Asian students versus low income and Hispanic students?
Well, I think first and foremost, like I said earlier, is we have to give the students an incentive to take the test. We can't just pin it on the hopes that they're going to do well, that they're going to prepare, and then that will be a true reflection of the school. Just like anything, we don't grade them like that in the classroom. The incentive is that is their grade. It goes on their transcripts for their diploma in the future. And so there needs to be some incentive for them first and foremost. And then the second, I really strongly believe that the parents need to be more involved in their child's education. I see a great lack thereof in parental involvement, and it ties directly into student achievement and discipline problems at the schools.
Okay, John Zickafoos, how can the district close the achievement gaps?
Well, unfortunately, we do have a gap, and I think there's some ways that we can address it without incurring any new cost, because as we've all stated here, there isn't a lot of money going around right now. I'd love us to see, especially with the elementary, because the better we prep our kids before 3rd grade in the areas of reading and writing, the better they will do throughout their entire K-12 experience. I'd love us to see us do better on bringing our junior high and our high schools into the elementary schools, working with those kids that are struggling, increasing their abilities, and at the same time, we're also doing something for those junior high and high school kids as well, because they're acting as mentors, so they can, once they step out into the world, will understand their role as leaders.
Bill Newberry?
First and foremost, I think we need to focus on where those deficiencies are at. Once we're able to focus on those deficiencies, then we can create some sort of a plan. However, I will tell you this. There is a great example that's taking place today as we speak at Santiago High School, where they have seen a deficiency in test scores of 23-point gap, and they have done something about it. And They have brought the community together and parents together and the staff of the school together, and they've closed that gap from 23 points to 7 points. So there is a way to do it, and there is a way to approach this without any money, but with support from the community, with support from the parents, and with support from the school, and we can close the gap.
Okay, Doug Hewson?
Certainly, one of the things we have to do is identify at-risk students early on and provide remediation. But really, we're talking about a greater social issue, if you think about it. And the school has to line up with the realities of the community that we have. We have a lot of single adults raising our students, and they do need support. Think about this. If somebody is coming from work and they're racing home to get to a school function that starts at 6 p.m., they can't attend. Nobody's going to be off the 91 until 7 and available till 7:30. And so we got to address practical realities like that. Now, I love what's happening at Santiago, and I've met with Principal Reggie, and man, there are some things that we can pluck out of their system and replicate. But really, think about the trifecta, the three things that really make the difference. Parental involvement, and we've got to invite parents into the classrooms and the elementary levels to be involved with their kids. Parental income actually affects the success of students. We can't really do much. We're in a tough economic time there. But then lastly, though my time is up, the thing that we have to do is inspire kids.
Okay,
and
thank you,
that's
Doug.
the answers.
All right. Gretchen Dowdy, how can the district close the achievement gaps?
Well, this is one of my platforms as far as closing the achievement gap, and that's just to be able to have classes, industrial classes, auto mechanics, the Microsoft. I know at one of the schools at Centennial, they just brought in a Microsoft technology class, and Microsoft is helping with some of the payment of it. And I think we need to get our community involved and get some of our local businesses to come in and be able to have these students intern with them so that they have an area that they could go to if they're not college bound.
Okay, thank you. Bill Newberry will get this next question first. In the most recent election in each county, the race for county superintendent, the candidates made references to how we need to be careful as a society about reducing the number of days that our students are in the classroom. We also hear at the paper from parents that once the state tests are done in May, that the days that we have in the classroom aren't utilized either. So how, as a policy-making board, can the district best ensure that the number of school days are utilized? How can the district ensure that the school days are maximized?
Well, I think first we need to understand that the state is the one that's going to dictate to us how many minutes of education need to take place over the course of a school year. Secondly, I think as a governing board, it's our responsibility to ensure that the staff of the district is reviewing what's taking place on the campuses. And it's our responsibility to meet with the cabinet and the staff of the district to see what that process is and to analyze it and review it, and just to make sure that kids are learning every day. It's critical that kids are there to get an education, and that's exactly what we provide. I would ensure that those students are continuing to receive an education on a daily basis.
Okay, Stephen Green, how can the district as a policy-making board ensure that the school days are maximized?
Well, you need to hold the administrators and the teaching staff accountable. I mean, the concept is bell-to-bell instruction, and that's from day one till the day of finals. The comment about, after standardized tests are done, there's no more teaching going on, I don't, see that at all. I mean, standardized test scores measure a school, but they don't provide the children with a grade, and they don't go on their transcripts. So I think as a governing board, you make sure that the administrators and the teaching staff is are doing bell-to-bell instruction and are teaching all the way up to finals. And the other thing, you know, all teachers are responsible to turn in their curriculum, turn in a copy of their finals to their administrators. So as long as that's checked, I think it's, you know, it's a working system.
Okay, John Zickafoos?
I would say that I would disagree with maybe what some of your readers have told you. That might be a very small minority because I'm in the classrooms all the time after testing is done, and they are still teaching, and they are working and working hard, as Steve said, from bell to bell. So I think it's going on. I know it's going on, and that is one thing that I would do personally as a board member, get out to the schools even more than I am right now. I think, you know, you can sit up on the dais and think, oh, you have all the answers, but I think you need to hit the ground running and be out at the schools walking through them, talk to the students, talk to parents, talk to teachers, what's working, what isn't, how can we make this better? But I would say that teaching is going on constantly. Thank you.
Okay, Doug Hewson?
Well, the answer is accountability, and we have it in the Corona-Norco district. You know, I oftentimes say one of the reasons I want to serve is that I want to make good schools great, and we really do have good schools, and the reason is we have great principals, and serving under them are great teachers. Now, it is true there is wasted time in classrooms. I've got kids, and they tell me, but listen, learning should be fun, and if kids are bored because the teacher comes unprepared, they're not going to have fun, and you know who's going to hear about it? Parents. And so parents are the gatekeepers and the accountability partners.
Okay, Gretchen?
As being a PTA and being in PTA for so many years, I see that the teaching continues from day one to final day. Yeah, there are some fun days in between, and especially towards the end of the school year. But again, the administration, the teachers, and being in the classrooms for so many years as being part of PTA and a volunteer, I have seen that the education is continuing all the way to the final day.
Okay, thank you. Our final question will start with John Zickafoos. How do you keep up and informed on trends in education in general and issues specific to Corona-Norco?
Education is ever-changing. As a matter of fact, our state just passed a new budget, and unfortunately, we don't even have the numbers. We do know that coming down the pike, we're going to be hit harder in education. So you read, and you read some more. And as I alluded to earlier, you go out into the classrooms, see what's happening. And I think you look at other districts as well. You don't think that you have all the answers, and I don't think any of us do, but you explore different aspects, what's working, and how can we implement those successful programs from other districts into our district.
Okay, Bill Newberry, how do you keep up with general education and also issues specific to Corona-Norco?
Well, I agree. I think reading is certainly a key component. We have to continue to monitor the news. We need to monitor what's going on, not just in Corona-Norco, though we need to monitor what's happening in the state. We need to monitor what's happening nationally and even globally. We are now a global society. I think the other is we need to experience it. We need to be out there experiencing what's taking place. And I feel that that is just another key element in the process.
Okay, Doug Hewson?
Well, the same things we just heard. Read. I'm online all the time reading about what's happening not only in Sacramento but locally. And then also to listen to other parents, listen to what principals are saying. We've been fortunate as a potential board to be invited in by the superintendent and assistant superintendents for briefings, and they certainly help us understand from their perspective the issues within the district and facing the district. The truth is, I'll make a confession, I am not an expert yet, but given a couple years, I hope to be.
Okay, Gretchen Dowdy, how do you keep up with education, general education issues, and also issues specific to Corona-Norco?
I keep up by attending school board meetings, reading, being part of the PTA. PTA is one of the biggest child advocates in the state, in the country, and they have resolutions. So again, it's reading, being out there, being part of the school, being in touch with the principals, in touch with the school district cabinet and board, and just listening to parents also. And also, basically, I have talked to I've lived in other districts. I've lived in, have friends and family in other areas, and finding out what they're doing, maybe what they're doing better, what they're doing worse. I attend meetings that encompass all of Riverside County PTAs, and talking about what each school district is doing in part of Riverside County.
Okay, Stephen Green?
Well, it's my world, it's my occupation. I'm constantly informed every day. I have staff meetings that I attend monthly. I have department meetings that I attend monthly as well. I'm a member of the CTA, I'm a member of the NEA, I'm a member of the local chapter where I work, and I also have a lot of teacher friends in other districts, and we talk and we discuss things about our job. I have friends who have children at different schools within the community, and of course, like Doug was saying, you know, it comes right back to the parents. So we as parents talk, and we find out what's going on in our local schools, and what's going on with their kids and what their interests are as parents.
Okay, that ends our question and answer session. We're going to begin our closing statements. We're going to do it in the opposite order that we did the opening statements, so we'll start at the end. And everyone will have 1 minute for their closing statements. So, Doug, the floor is yours for a minute.
Thanks again, Nels. And I want to tell every potential voter, you cannot go wrong with any of the candidates that you've just heard from my perspective. I'd certainly love to have your vote. I think I'm unique in the sense that the 25 years of pastoral, in business consulting, and actually being in the classroom as well for a short period of time has prepared me uniquely for this season in our district. Oh, I would love your vote. I'd love you to entrust me to serve for the next couple of years on your behalf. And in doing so, I would give it 100% of my effort. God bless each of you.
Okay, Gretchen Dowdy?
I've been active in the PTA. I've been active in the local community, in other organizations, swim teams. I've been out there. I've been a home mom the whole time my kids have been in school, and I feel I have the assets. I feel I have the leadership skills. I have the involvement that would take to be a part of the Corona-Norco School District Board, and I would love to serve my community and the school district.
Okay, Bill Newberry, you have 1 minute.
Again, I feel that tough times needs tough leaders. I feel I have the experience. I feel that my leadership skills have been demonstrated, not just within the business community, but also within the district. I think also we need to have our students career ready or college ready. I think that needs to be a goal of ours. I think the district needs to be a model district, not just within Riverside County, but within the state of California and nationally. I feel that our employees need to be continued to be looked after, and I think that we have a potential district to be great, not just good. And I encourage you all to vote on November 2nd, and I appreciate the opportunity here today.
Okay, John Zickafoos?
Well, first, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my wife for allowing me to do this, because there's an enormous amount of work that goes into campaigning, and nights that you're not home and days you're not home. So thank you, Eileen. I've proven my leadership via Unity. I've brought together Unity, started it with 4 or 5 other people at a table much smaller than we're at here today. Unity now is a collaborative of about 85 different agencies, nonprofit agencies, governmental agencies, all sorts of groups that look to better our community. And I feel as a leader on the board. We need to continue that collaborative efforts and go out into the business community as well and bring them and make them part of what we're going to do here on the board. Thank you.
Okay, and the final word goes to Stephen Green.
Again, I want to reiterate, I am a teacher. I'm not on the outside looking in, but I'm in the trenches, and I know the needs and the concerns of teachers, students, and parents. I have a vested interest in education as a professional, as a parent, and as a community member. And so I want to thank everyone here also, and thank you for the opportunity, and just make sure you vote in November.
Okay, thank you all very much for your participation in this forum today. Thank you very much for joining us on PE.com as well, and good luck to all of you in the election. We want to remind everybody that we still have, I believe, we have 2.5 more days of forums here, and you can watch this forum and all of those on demand on PE.com. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, the Press Enterprise, the Beaumont Cherry Valley Recreation and Park District, and Mount San Jacinto College. We'd like to thank our timekeeper, Carol Park, our camera operator, Jennifer Whitaker. Today's webcast has been produced by Louis Amistoy. And don't forget to vote on November 2nd, as mentioned. And also, please join us that night. We'll have a live election show on PE.com. And as those events trickle in, those results trickle in ever so slowly, we'll also have a recap show on November 3rd. So thanks again to everyone for participating. For the Press Enterprise, I'm Nels Jensen. Thank you.